Welcome to the Business English Podcast. I'm Rob, your host, and today we've got a fantastic episode lined up for you. Whether you're commuting, taking a break, or just looking to sharpen your business English skills, you're in the right place. Today's episode is all about handling those tricky situations when resources are tight. Picture this: you're in a high-stakes meeting, the budget is running low, and you need to communicate your constraints effectively. Do you know the best phrases to use? By the end of this episode, you'll have 6 powerful expressions at your fingertips to navigate these scenarios with confidence. But why is this important? Well, in the fast-paced world of business, how you communicate limitations can make or break a deal, a project, or even a partnership. Clear, concise, and effective communication is key. We're going to dive into phrases like running on fumes and scraping the bottom of the barrel. Ever heard those before? Do you know how to use them in a professional context? Stick around because not only will I explain each phrase, but I'll also give you some real-life examples of how to use them in meetings, presentations, and networking events. And here's a little teaser. Have you ever been in a situation where the clock is ticking and you're racing to finish on time? What phrase would you use to convey that urgency? I'll reveal that and much more in just a bit. So, are you ready to enhance your business English skills and impress your colleagues with your articulate and precise language? Let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business English Podcast, helping professionals communicate more effectively, more confidently, and with impact. With your host, Rob, from Energetic English. Let's get down to business. Now that we've set the stage, let's dive into the principles and techniques for using these resource-constrained phrases effectively in professional settings. First, let's talk about the importance of being concise and clear. When resources are limited, clarity is crucial. You don't want to leave room for misunderstandings, especially in high-stakes situations. So, how do you ensure your message is both clear and impactful? One key technique is to match your tone and body language with your message. Imagine you're in a meeting and you need to convey that your team is running on fumes. Your tone should reflect urgency, but not panic. A calm yet firm delivery will ensure your message is taken seriously without causing alarm. Next, it's all about selecting the right phrase for the right context. Each phrase we'll discuss has its own nuances and ideal scenarios. Knowing when to say tightening the belt versus stretching it thin can make all the difference in how your message is received. We'll break down these contexts shortly, so stay tuned. And here's something to think about. How often do you consider the impact of your word choice on your audience? Choosing the right phrase can influence how your message is perceived and can even sway decisions in your favor. We'll explore this more with specific examples. Finally, remember that practice makes perfect. The more you use these phrases in different settings, the more natural they'll feel. Try them out in low-stakes conversations first and gradually incorporate them into more formal situations. So, ready to learn the specific phrases and how to use them? In the next section, we'll dive into each phrase, explain its use, and provide real-world examples. Don't go anywhere, you won't want to miss it. Now it's time to dive into the heart of our episode, the 6 powerful phrases for dealing with constrained resources. I'll introduce each phrase, give you a moment to repeat it, and then explain how and when to use it in a professional setting. Let's get started. Phrase 1, running on fumes. Say it with me. Running on fumes. This phrase means operating with very little energy or resources left. Imagine you're in a team meeting and the project has taken longer than expected. You might say, "Our team is running on fumes trying to meet this deadline." It conveys urgency and the critical state of your resources without sounding desperate. Phrase 2, scraping the bottom of the barrel. Say it with me. Scraping the bottom of the barrel. This means using the last remaining resources, often of lower quality. Picture yourself presenting a budget report. You could say, "We're scraping the bottom of the barrel to meet this month's financial targets." This phrase highlights that you're using up all available resources, signaling the need for new inputs or resources soon. Phrase 3. Tightening the belt. Say it with me. Tightening the belt. This means reducing expenses due to limited resources. In a strategy meeting, you might say, "With the recent downturn, we need to start tightening the belt to stay afloat." It's a clear way to indicate the need for cost-cutting measures. Phrase 4. Stretching it thin. Say it with me. Stretching it thin. This means spreading resources very thinly, often over many tasks. Imagine discussing workload distribution with your manager. You could say, "Our marketing team is really stretching it thin with all these new campaigns." It shows that the team is overextended and might need some support or reevaluation of priorities. Phrase 5. On a shoestring budget. Say it with me. On a shoestring budget. This means operating with a very limited budget. During a project proposal, you might say, "We managed to launch the product on a shoestring budget." It emphasizes that the project was completed with minimal financial resources, highlighting efficiency and creativity. Phrase 6. Down to the wire. Say it with me. Down to the wire. This means being very close to a deadline with little time left. In a high-pressure meeting, you might say, "The project came down to the wire, but we delivered on time." It conveys the tight deadline and the effort required to meet it. These phrases are powerful tools in your business English arsenal, but knowing when and how to use them can set you apart as a clear and effective communicator. Up next, I'll share some final tips to help you integrate these phrases seamlessly into your professional conversations. Stay with me, we're almost there. Right, now that you've got 6 powerful phrases to handle constrained resources, let's wrap up with some final tips to help you integrate these phrases seamlessly into your professional conversations. First, recap and repetition. It's essential to practice these phrases regularly. Try using them in different contexts. Start with informal settings to get comfortable, then move on to more formal situations. The more you use them, the more natural they'll feel. Next, pay attention to context. Each phrase has its nuances, and as we've said before, each phrase has its own nuances and ideal scenarios. For example, running on fumes works well when talking about a team's energy levels, while on a shoestring budget is perfect for financial constraints. Make sure you choose the right phrase for the right situation to maximize impact. Another tip here is to observe and learn from native speakers. Watch business meetings, presentations, and interviews in English. Notice how professionals use these phrases and mimic their delivery. This will help you understand the subtleties of tone and body language that accompany these expressions. And now here's something to consider. How would you adapt your communication style when resources are constrained? The way you convey limitations can influence how your message is received. Practice delivering these phrases with confidence and clarity to ensure your message is understood and respected. Also, be mindful of your audience. Tailor your language to suit the people you're speaking to. In a formal setting, you might need to be more diplomatic, while in a team meeting, you can be more straightforward. Understanding your audience will help you choose the right tone and phrasing. Finally, stay positive. Even when discussing constraints, maintaining a positive and solution-oriented attitude can make a big difference. For example, instead of just stating the limitation, offer a potential solution or a way forward. This shows that you're proactive and focused on finding solutions. So, thank you for joining me on today's episode of the Business English Podcast. I hope you found today's episode on handling constrained resources valuable. Remember, practice makes perfect. Use these phrases, refine your delivery, and watch how your business communication skills soar. But don't stop here. Our next episode is packed with more essential tips to elevate your professional English. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you the content you need to succeed. Until next time, keep practicing, stay confident, and of course, keep it strictly business. You have been listening to the Business English Podcast. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and we'll see you next time.